Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of She Who Remembers. I am sitting here today with the beautiful Monika. She is a singer, composer, and ceremonialist who bridges sound, ancient ritual, and wellness through beautiful transformative journeys. Her work is deeply rooted in music as medicine through vocals, guitar, sacred instruments, chants, and invocations. She creates sacred spaces where sound becomes a pathway back into the heart through earth and spirit. Monika, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'd love to start by you telling us a little bit about your lineage and diving deeper into your medicine music, really.
I absolutely would love to share. So I come from a Colombian family. My mom and dad are both first generation immigrants to the United States. They met in California, where I was born, and I had a very interesting childhood where I went between Colombia and California for long periods of time. And I would say that I grew up with music. Both of my parents were musicians. The weekends were filled with like family parties and barbecues and gatherings and live music until like the sunrise practically. And it was just a very lively childhood filled with music. Very grateful for that. And in my young years before maybe 10, I started to, on my mom's side, so she has a lot of brothers. She had 5 brothers, and my mom, she was the only girl. I knew one of my uncles had passed very young in an accident. He was electrocuted by an eel in the Amazon swimming. And I
Wow.
remember at about age 7, my other uncle, who was a doctor, he drowned in La Guajira, which is a northern region of Colombia, when he was helping an indigenous community. He was a medical doctor. So he was doing a trip on his own terms to just help and give back to this tribe. And so I remember seeing him being in, then my other uncle passed, a few years within, and he had been in a wheelchair and in and out of the hospital his whole life. And I started noticing this trend on my mom's side. I just remember being like, wow, is there a continuation of this? And I was very young. My grandparents still married, but as the years passed, my mom and I went to surprise my grandmother for her birthday. And we were in a bus that my uncle rented to take us to his house. And there we were on the drive, we hit a car and were in a crash. I think there was like 11 fatalities that day. And I spared my life by moving seats for my mom to sit next to me. So originally I was sitting in her seat. And through that, my grandfather passed, my mom passed. I was there trying to help her breathe. It was definitely like out of a movie scenario. I was 16. But I remember just realizing how much suffering my grandmother had to go through, because at this point she had lost 4 children and her husband of 65 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a lot. It was a lot for her. It was a lot for me at the time. But I committed to deepening my relationship with her. And I spent every year with her birthday. I would fly to Colombia and just spend time with her. And I know she was missing her children, her husband, and it was a lot of suffering for her last year. She lived to be 3 days shy of 100, something
Wow.
she never wanted to be. She's like, I don't want to be 100. That's too old. Like, I have nothing to do here. Her life was to have a family. Like, her life was her family. And so I would say within the last 12 years, I started doing a lot of self-development work. After the bus crash, I didn't really process or cry for maybe 6 or 7 years, the emotions and everything that was pent up. But I did spend a lot of time in my room playing guitar, playing piano, listening to songs that I loved, wanting to learn how to play them, because I grew up playing piano. So I did about 7 years of classical piano studying. And then I transitioned to guitar in my early tweens, but I quit because I couldn't sing and play at the same time. And it was too hard. And I said, I quit. This is hard. So I let it go. And I came back around and I was like, well, Jewel plays guitar. I can play guitar too. And Shakira plays guitar. I can play guitar too. So I started, the old school way of like, what are the guitar tabs? What are the lyrics? What does it sound like? And just self-teaching, self-pacing myself through these songs that
Wow.
I liked to hear and sing. And it was my way of processing and also releasing all this energy that I had within me that I didn't realize was held back because I was busy trying to survive and I was busy trying to figure it out, right? My parents had divorced at the time of 16 and my dad was living in California. I was living in Miami. So I pretty much was on my own from that age. Music came back into my life for my own medicine, for my own healing. It was really what helped me build strength and find myself. Through that, I began walking more in the path of ancestral medicines, indigenous peoples and elders that would come to town. And I started sitting in ceremonies. And
Yeah.
I knew there was something really powerful here for me to learn from. And I started learning what my intuition was and learning how to connect to spirit, how to connect with God, how to just really work within versus seeking external answers all the time. And so that was kind of the beginning of my path into really music and medicine music and all of this beautiful songs that would come out of ceremonies is just your heart is bursting open. And as a child, I had a very big dream to be a musician. I wanted to be a little bit like J-Lo or like, oh my God, the choreography. And, that was like the 90s era. Britney was out and all these really
Yes.
cool artists. J-Lo was like, I was like, wow, so cool. Like Spanish, Latina, English, American, Shakira came out into the US, but I didn't have a calling to be a pop artist. And so I think coming through with the medicine music genre and learning mantras and diving deep into the philosophy of yoga and going so in to understand the technology behind the Sanskrit, behind the prayers that are woven through our voice. It was a remembrance.
Oh,
It was deep, deep remembrance for me. And so that's really what started my path. And I'll leave it there just because there's more, but I feel like maybe we want to take this
I'm like, keep going. It's so funny because my friend who I met out here, we talk about like music quite often and we're like, okay, what's our favorite music? People ask us all the time, but we don't know how to like say it's just medicine music. You're like, what do you really call that? But it's like, the Perangis of the world and Shiloh Ray. It's funny, and your music, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And it's just medicine music. It's healing. It's potent. It's what you can use in ceremony, but it's also just like, even if you were just to go on a walk and listen to that music, those sounds and those mantras, like you are literally healing
Mhm.
through the sound.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's something I've learned also along this path is really music is medicine, right? In every genre has its own healing. Sometimes we want to twerk a little bit and like get in the hip hop, or the reggaeton, or sometimes we want to get some salsa in and just open our bodies, or sometimes we want like a deep bass or like some rock and roll to release certain emotions, right? So I think music in it of itself is medicine, but the lyrics I think are where we can really take it and fine tune a little bit more because your word is your wand. And if we're singing songs,
True.
which I grew up in the 90s listening to heavy metal rock, and if that's the lyrics that I'm telling myself that I'm angry, that I'm mad, that I hate the world, like that's going to become kind of my reality and my perspective. So I think the genre of medicine music is also the technology of lyrics and the words and the intention behind the words that we choose to put one after another, and that interweaves with, of course, the textures of the instruments and the production of other types of sounds that make these songs so enchanting for our hearts and so opening for ourselves to really process the emotions we want to feel.
Yes. Yeah, I'm feeling like so many body sensations just hearing you talk about it. You just even have like a radiance in your literal voice just speaking, which is very beautiful. It's potent. Thank you. Is there a specific, I know you said you studied a lot of like ancient lineages and tied music back to that. Is there anyone in particular that you use or source inspiration from today?
Absolutely, yeah. I would say, so I'll give you a little background on how I evolved too. So I started using Kundalini yoga in my early 20s and doing these chants and these mantras, and I was like, wow, I don't know what is going on, but my heart feels like it's gonna explode out of my body, and I am so high on life, and I just like don't know how to handle this energy, but it's cool. And then I
Totally.
came back to it in my late 20s, and I was a little bit more grounded in myself, and I was able to, I had already done a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga. I kinda, like, started grounding into myself and was able to really, like, work with these mantras for rewiring my own nervous system, and I did a few Aquarian sadhanas where it was waking up and, I don't know if you know the Kundalini Aquarian sadhana, but it's like 2.5 hours from 4 to 6:30 AM, and 1 hour alone. It's like a 20-minute prayer that you read out loud, and then at the end, it's an hour of singing, and you're
Oh.
singing these beautiful mantras, and so that's where a lot of my inspiration began, and I am certified as a meditation teacher, and so I started weaving in this into, because my background is in fitness and holistic wellness, nutrition, so I started weaving this into my meditation classes, to my stretching classes, and then over time, as I started writing my own music, I found the inspiration first off from nature, which I would
Mhm.
say in my north node, and something really interesting that a friend brought up when I shared my story with her, she said, "Who became your mother after your mom transitioned?" Usually, someone takes lead, someone takes that role and guides you as a mother figure. And I had to sit with that because I didn't have that experience. I had a brother, I had a father, I had a lot of uncles, I had a lot of men in my life. And I found that the mother archetype was really brought through in nature, and going to the parks and sitting with the trees and watching the sunrise and sunsets and like allowing myself to be held by the waters and the fire, just sitting and observing this flame as it moves, and all of the medicine, meaning the healing that I got to experience from the elements and from nature, were the huge source of inspiration of my music. What brought it full circle for me though was when I sat with a indigenous community in Brazil named the Yawanawas. And they are now really starting to share their music with the world in the last 5, 10 years. And their music just takes me to a place that I know my own lineage has been. And so I started really connecting the dots and making peace with the fact that my family is no longer alive to share and sing and dance and play music with. However, I'm here to find them again through music and to continue to share what they brought and the gifts that they brought, right? We're not just born with these generational curses that we have to work through and like heal with. It's like, what about the gifts? What about the gifts that your mom has, your father, that what are their gifts? What are their parents' gifts? What did they do? And so being able to continue to share that and evolve that for my own lineage has been the deepest honor and inspiration as well to continue.
It's so beautiful, and it's like, when you're doing that and you have that remembrance and you're so in alignment that they're working on the other side to really kind of hold and guide you on that path.
Full
Walk the
chill.
through as you're just voicing everything, whether it be the chants or the mantras or singing, even
Yeah.
speaking. They're absolutely there with you. My
Yeah.
gosh, I know.
It's been a really powerful path of remembering. Again, it's I feel sometimes we're here to truly remember things so that we can see it, name it, own it, release it, and keep going, right? Like we're just vessels. I think that's key medicine to remember in this path, yeah, in this life.
Yes. And one of the most important things you called out is working with the elements and really using Pachamama as the guide and as this mother source and really being able to connect, because I think so many people struggle to feel that fire and that thing that they're supposed to be doing or that drives them. And it's just the feeling that gives you those full body chills. And it is like there's no other path when it becomes that obvious to you. And you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the puzzle pieces, like, this makes sense. And
Mhm.
I owe it to my lineage to be sharing this medicine
Yeah.
because it's like you incarnated for.
Yeah, sometimes I think our hardships can bring about a lot of why. It's like, why did I have to go through this? Why did this have to be so hard and suffering so much and loss and all these things? Because it's hard. It's not easy to go through these things in the human experience, right? But
Yeah.
also, I do think that as we evolve in our lives, we start to see all of these beautiful threads that are just gently interweaving within themselves and taking us in different directions. If this wouldn't have happened, XYZ wouldn't have happened. And then, so it's almost like a blessing in disguise, even though we had to suffer in order to break through to the next part.
Yes, because had you not experienced what you experienced at such a young age, would you have been, so driven to find this path so young and really then get into the yoga and get into the meditation and all these things to lead you to where you are now? So it's like it does happen that way.
Mhm.
And so kind of I want to circle back to that
Yeah.
because I think it's incredibly rare for somebody so young to experience that much death
Yeah.
surrounding them, and you experience like not really grieving or crying for 6 years because I think your body just death is already hard, but then at a young age losing a literal parent figure and like so many uncles,
Yeah.
pass away, it's like what does one do? Like
Yeah.
you're forced to kind of grow up and go into the adult role. How did that shape your earlier childhood years in handling loss and just grief in your own life outside of the death?
Yeah. It's really, really interesting. I think I had a lot of personal struggles that I went through before all of this even happened. The story I shared is a very, very big part of my walk, and also everything that led into those years and into my 16 years was almost brutal in many ways. I remember around 9 years old, I went from being in private school to public school and experiencing a lot of bullying, experiencing a lot of me feeling not good enough, right? It didn't matter what it was, I just didn't feel good enough, and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't like myself. I'm not enough. I'm not enough." And I chose to self-destruct. I chose to just take it out on myself. I spiraled a bit, wanting to lose weight, wanting to have a better body. I dabbled into eating disorders, diet pills. I got into drugs also, and, really got to experience addiction at a young age as a young teenager. And um it took me to the edge to the point where I got to see, this is gonna kill you, like, this is not gonna make you feel any better than what you are already working on and struggling with, and so I made a hard pivot at 15 and chose to stop using drugs and taking, amphetamines to try to, like, lose weight and to try to, like, escape, and I think had I not gone through that before the bus crash, I might have suffered more with addiction after.
Mm.
Because it was such a shocking thing that I went through with the bus and my mom and my grandfather, and I was just from then just taken into adulthood, like you said. And I thought it was so tough and so adult, as a 15-year-old girl wanting to, like, live her own adult life. I have no idea how much of a child I was. You know, I think the way I processed all of that, I still struggled, but I had a lot more awareness of, like, what my edges were to how much I can really cause self-harm, and I was able to not go so far, and take it out on, again, like, hard drugs or partying hard, or, I was still kind of struggling, but it wasn't until my early 20s that I found meditation, I found self-development, I found community and friends that were so aware of this world and were able to show me. And one of my uncles actually was a Reiki master, and he
No.
taught me about the universe. He was the one that was like guiding me into this path very subtly. And rest in peace. He passed about 8 years ago. But like my spiritual father. And, so I did really go through a lot of personal struggles, but those also drove me to be fascinated about the human body and how much we can heal through our food, through self care, through movement. So I studied in college nutrition. I became a licensed dietitian practitioner and became a trainer, fitness instructor. Like I was all about like this mission of you can heal yourself. I specialized in eating disorders because I healed myself from that because I realized like I am enough, right? It's just we are usually working from a place of wounding that is so deep and from our childhood traumas that we don't even realize we're still carrying into our day-to-day 10, 15, 20 years later, 30, 40 for some.
Yes. I think a
So,
lot of women struggle with that as
yeah,
well.
yeah. And so I still have my practice and I still work in that because I have a really big passion and a soft spot for those to just learn like how capable we truly are. But sometimes we have to go through these things to get to the edge to say enough is enough. Like I'm choosing myself and I have to choose myself. And no one can do that work for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. It is so true. Healing is your responsibility. It's like finding that trusted person who's going to help you get through it because while it is your responsibility, that doesn't mean you go through it alone. You go through it
Exactly.
with support.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Because we like to be tough and independent, but it's not supposed to be that way.
I know. That was a whole lesson in and of itself, right? It's like it's safe to ask for help. It's safe to speak.
It
So
is.
I think a lot of that, like, I didn't realize I was repressing my own voice subconsciously for a lot of those reasons. And even then, I was still shy to sing and play in front of anyone. Maybe my roommate, she would hear me like, you know, cover like Jewel and Shakira pretty much because that's all I loved.
That's inspiration. So how did you really like come out of your shell? Was it through that transition of healing and coming to of like, I am enough, I'm taking up space and I'm just gonna start? Or what even did that process look like?
So in my early 20s, give a little bit of a backstory to bring it full circle. In my early 20s, I walked into, surprise, a toxic relationship in which I thought I could save this man and help him
Please.
to just distract from my own crap. And I walked out of there just so distraught. I mean, it was just so emotionally draining and toxic. And I decided to get my breasts implanted and done just to make myself feel better. It was fine until it wasn't, right? Until I started to feel like, oh, I think my body is like slightly rejecting this. And I started noticing how my skin was struggling, my digestion was long-term struggling, my hormones were long-term struggling, and doctors just wanted to give me the pill. And I worked with doctors. So they were just like, oh, just take this for your thyroid and just, take this for birth control. And I'm like, this is not the path. And I know this is not the answer. And so I took out my implants at 29 years old. I think I had just turned 30. And to realize that I had put something on my chest for almost 10 years. And then when I took them out, it was just such a deep relief and an opening of my
Yeah.
heart, my throat chakras. I mean, all of this was just completely blocked. And the thing with implants is that your immune system creates tissue to protect it from the implants. And so that tissue also starts to build all around your body. It's your body's way of, again, like protecting itself. And so it was a huge emotional release and a spiritual release when I did take those out. And I, at the time, had been doing a lot of water fasting. I had created a program for water fasting. I was guiding a lot of people to heal their bodies and guts through that in preparation for this explant. And in a water fast, I was with a sister of mine who's a medicine woman, and we did the fast together. And we were doing prayers for the water. And we had a really beautiful moment where she said, sing a song. And I paused to like collect my mind. What am I going to sing? And she thought I was in the moment just really shy. And she's like, are you afraid to sing in front of me? And I was like, no. And she goes, well, you know what? Let me tell you this right now. And I got like that older sister. Let me put you in your place. Your voice is your medicine. You have to share this with the world. Do not hold back. Sing your song. And it's
Aw.
almost like she gave me this permission slip that I didn't know I needed, and just opened this all up for me to just feel safe and to just go for
Oh,
it.
wow.
And so that was a really big door opener for the path. And I had been, of course, healing for a month, singing mantras, singing harmonies over songs that I was listening to. I mean, I have like 10-hour playlist of medicine music and Spotify. I've got all the goods saved. And it was like, okay, I think it's time to go deeper. And then I moved to Mexico and I just started composing and writing. And I've been a writer my whole life. I love poetry. I'm a big poet in my journals. And I just started bringing this into the guitar and creating with it. And so that's kind of what really blasted it off. But again, sometimes we need to clear all of these things that we don't realize are just sitting there, and clear it out. And once you do, it's like a clean slate. It's a fresh start.
Literally, yes. And it is crazy because it's like, it's ascension.
For sure.
And it's like, okay, you can't really get to this level until you let this go. Whether
Mhm.
that be something like a physical trauma or something stuck in your body, or like a person or a
Mhm.
situation or a loop or a pattern. It's like once that's cut, gone out, okay, then that new door opens. You're ready because you can't carry that baggage to what's meant for you at this higher level. So there's such beautiful.
And to your point, if for any girlies out there, if you are thinking of doing an explant or taking out your implants, everything that I thought I was, like, pushing aside by getting implants to feel better, I was like, "Oh, I don't feel good enough," like, "Oh, this, I'm upset about this, I'm mad at that." I just, like, put them on and I was like, "Okay, I feel better, move on with my life." When I took them off, everything kinda came back, like, "Oh, yeah, you thought you were healed of this? Like, you thought you had worked through these emotions and through this pain? Well, still here, babe." And so create that space to honor the version of you that didn't know any better, and love her for who she is and accept. And it will hopefully make it a lot easier for you to move forward. Yeah. Because your cells listen, your body listens to everything, and we can heal ourselves. We have to speak the words and speak the beliefs into it and believe it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your vulnerability as well.
There's in this path.
Yes, but even people who, get the implants or have a food eating disorder or anything like that, they're hiding behind it and they're afraid to share it and they feel ashamed and they feel all these lower vibrational feelings, and it's not safe for people to open up because I think there's so much judgment and there's so much criticism in our world. So it's like they already might be feeling insecure or like not okay, and then to be met with hate in that state, you just can't handle that. So
Yeah.
I think it's hard for a lot of women to feel safe and like, well, here's how I'm really feeling.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful for you to share your story so vulnerably because so many women will relate. The ones
Yeah.
especially that aren't like speaking out about it to be like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Absolutely. I think there was definitely a part of me, and I think we all relate, where it's like, "Oh, my body's gonna be destroyed. My What are they gonna look like? They're gonna be pancakes. They're not gonna be cute. Like, what do I do?" And for me, it was like, my priority is my health. I wanna prioritize my health and my healing, and that was my north node. I didn't care so much about the physical results, and I got lucky. There wasn't a lot there anyway, so it just kind of bounced back up. But of course, they're not perfect. And I'm okay with that. It was playing a game, and it was like, what is the best mistake you ever made? And my answer was getting breast implants, because I think it was the best mistake. I didn't know how healing it would be for me and how many women I would later on help, to just share my story and also say, like, you are enough, because this is all rooted anything around addiction, anything around trying to change ourselves or cover up ourselves from a place other than love is usually from not feeling enough or feeling too much in some way.
Yes. And our social media and like cinema doesn't really help with any of that these days, and especially AI now. It's like, oh God, let's
There's
just lay.
like, I didn't realize this was an AI account. Like, this is so interesting what the world is creating. Fascinating.
This person has
Fascinating.
perfect symmetry on their whole body.
Yeah, it's a wild world, but I think at the end of the day, humans are going to still look to connect with other humans, and I think that that's those that believe that will continue to walk that path, and those that are looking for that will find it.
Absolutely. And I think the imperfect, the authenticity is what makes someone so beautiful. It's literally how God created you. So it's like,
Mhm,
how could you not just love that?
mhm.
Like, we're all so unique in our own ways. And so to
Yes.
really like own and honor that is a gift,
Yeah, and if
truly.
at some point we did betray ourselves, and if at some point we did harm ourselves unknowingly, also finding the courage and the humility to forgive ourselves and to accept the choices that we've made and to still find the beauty and the lesson that is coming from it, because there is medicine behind every choice that we're making. Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any mantras that you feel would help somebody who might be going through some of these insecurities or like, I'm not good enough, that they can repeat to themselves daily to help with that inner confidence and just self love?
There's one line that I stuck through, and I feel like I'm gonna make a rap song out of it one day. It's a little bit like fun, like lighthearted, and I will share one of the choruses from one of my songs called "Divinely Guided." I'm not sure if you've
Please,
heard that one.
please, yes.
But one line that I love to say, and I think everyone it should be a little fun anthem, make it fun. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Everything. And it's like everything is always working out for me. Everything. Because you may
So
be stuck in line or you may be like annoyed that there's traffic, but you could have just dodged a potential crazy scenario where your life could have been taken or XYZ saved you, you just never know what's weaving behind the scenes. And we just have to trust that every single detour is working out in your favor. That's
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. I carry that with me. That's been a mantra of mine for years and years and years. It helps also rewrite the narrative of like, I'm not a victim in my situation. Like whatever it is, it's working out for me. And then the other one is the chorus of my song and I'll sing it.
Okay, yes.
So it goes, and feel free to close your eyes because I just love, love,
Okay,
love. I'll
yes.
sing it a little bit slower than I normally do. Okay. Where the wind goes, I'm flying. Trusting in my path, there is no denying. What is meant for me is for my highest. Expanding every day, I'm divinely guided. What a whoa, oh, whoa. What a whoa, oh, 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 oh. What a whoa, oh, whoa. La da 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 da. We repeat that. So
Oh my goodness. You
that
are
one
like
that is
relaxed.
an anthem. It's like wherever the wind goes, I am flying. I'm flying with the wind. Trusting in my path, there is no denying. Like whatever is for my path is for me. What is meant for me is for my highest. Expanding every day, I'm divinely guided.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. That is such an anthem song. My girl, there's a few of my girlfriends like love that one. It's like it puts you in the high vibe for sure when you're feeling down.
Absolutely. I'm putting your Spotify in the show notes so that everybody can follow you on there and your YouTube so that everybody can follow along and listen to your music on repeat.
Yeah. A lot of the I compose a lot in Spanish. That was my first language. So it pours out in Spanish, but I do have some English tracks and I will be also releasing more as time goes in both dialects and probably other languages too.
Yes. Well, I'd always heard, at least through my studies, that English is like the least potent language when you're using prayer and mantra and rituals. so that it is like so beautiful to use other languages because that really is going to translate much higher, much faster.
And I will say I've witnessed enough beautiful, amazing artists from all over the world, let's say, do covers in English. There was one time this beautiful Russian woman, young girl, she was singing songs in English and someone requested for her to sing in her native tongue.
Ooh.
And what came out was like full I'm getting full body chills right now. All of us were like, "Whoa, that is like medicine." Whatever you sang, we don't know, but we loved it. And I get that feedback a lot. Sometimes people don't know what I'm singing in Spanish, but they feel the frequency and the vibration of what I'm exuding. And that is the medicine, and especially if it comes from your bloodline. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And it pours out of you how exactly as it's supposed to. Do you know The Great Gig in the Sky by Pink
Which one?
Floyd? The Great
Yeah.
Gig in the Sky, where they told her, like, sing about death,
Uh-huh.
and she's just making these wild noises, and they were like, it was one take, it was impromptu, this is it, but you hear that and you're like, just, like, saying how you feel about death, but I don't know. It's like you're speechless 'cause you're yeah.
Yeah, I have one uncle on my mom's side that's still alive, and we're very close, but my last uncle that passed he was like my spiritual father in so many ways, and he was euthanized in Colombia because he had been sick, and, he withheld this information from me for some years. He was like, "I turned into a monk and shaved my head." Turns out he had cancer, and, when I went to visit my grandma, he confided in me and told me he had been struggling with cancer for some years, and his body wasn't making it, and he asked me to be there for him during his transition and to sing to him, and so that was really the first time that I got to actually share. I mean, I think I did like a Jewel cover, "Who Will Save Your Soul," but it was like all I had at the time, it was I wasn't, singing medicine music at the time, but nonetheless, it was such an honor to use my voice to help him find his way and his path. And, I think that I love to sing with DJs. I love electronic music. I like to DJ also myself and do ecstatic dances, and I love playing, candlelight concerts and acoustic concerts and all these different styles of expressing music. But I think the deepest, most sacred space for me is the sound journeys. And when we're eyes closed, relaxed, just receiving, it's rewiring your nervous system and your cells and also your gene expression. So I really feel that like that is my favorite space to be in when it comes to music and the most profound. Yeah.
And do you offer, like, those ceremonies to the public?
Mhm.
Any spaces like that at the moment?
Sound healings. Yeah, I do sound healings. I do sound journeys. Absolutely, I do.
Okay, wonderful. I'm like, I definitely wanna come to one of them.
Yeah. Absolutely. You gotta come out to Mexico or Miami. I'm between both cities right now. Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Mexico will be an easy flight. And so what does your year ahead look like? What things are you calling in and what's next for you?
Yeah, oh my gosh. In the last year, going on 11 months, almost 11 months exactly, I had such a life-changing, once again, a very life-changing experience. Um, it was, March 1st. I'm on the beach meditating with my headphones. I'm doing a group meditation, just like taking this awesome course that my friend was teaching about like self-awareness, self-development. And I get a call that my dad, something happened to my dad, and he was in the hospital. And he was at the time flying from San Fran to Colombia. And he ended up having a blood clot on a flight and was unable to feel his legs. And so upon landing, which happened to be in Miami, he was doing a connecting flight. He was hospitalized. And that's when I got the call. And I flew to Miami, which I lived there for, 16, 17 years. And so thank God I knew doctors working in the hospital where he was. And I flew in the next day, and it turned into like a 3-month battle trying to get him comfortable and to overcome, the damage of, the blood clot, which essentially he had surgery, he had an emergency surgery and wasn't able to feel anything from the waist down. And so I
Mm.
spent 3 months with him, by his side, unsure of what would happen, but his soul was like, "This is not my life." Like, he was an athlete, he was so independent, he was young, he's like, I gotta go. Like, I really gotta go." And, I sang to him, he was in hospice, I helped him transition. Just like the biggest honor, to be able to do that for him after everything that our parents do for us. And like 2 weeks later, I was ready to go take a sabbatical and just take a long-term vacation. But at the time, like, my album was about to release, so I had to put my whole life on pause last year, and everything was just like, I don't know all of a sudden. So, 2 weeks later, I meet this man, and he was lovely. We went on a few dates, but then I left on my sabbatical to Europe, and then when I came back, he continued wanting to see me, and this led to us, starting a really beautiful relationship that was so unexpected. And in a lot of ways, as I'm really processing this still, I'm feeling my dad kind of passed the baton and was like, I've been your guardian and your caretaker, this earthy human. My dad was a Capricorn, and here's like an amazing Virgo who's just gonna like continue on, hopefully, and make you even happier. And, so yeah, my life at the end of last year was just like, I'm now, with his family and celebrating holidays with him. And it's just like such a bizarre sequence, not bizarre, but like just such different sequence of events that I did not expect to experience last year. And so this year I'm transitioning back to the States to be relocating my base in Miami Beach again. And we're going to be there together. And yeah, just really stepping into the next era of my life, which I do want to be a wife and a mother and family, after losing so many beautiful family members of mine. Like, my biggest dream is to continue my family and my lineage. And so those things are not happening this year, I don't think, but they're going to be in the works. The focus now is more concerts, sharing my music, doing ecstatic dances, cacao ceremonies, and bringing a lot of this beautiful work that I've been weaving in Mexico back to the US, where I think collectively we need this a lot of safe spaces to feel and to connect and to, support each other as we're going through some new upgrades in life and changes, like drastic changes. Yeah.
We need it badly, and Pachamama needs it too in her roots.
True.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry about your father.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild the amount of loss that you have experienced at such a young age,
Yeah.
really. But like you said, with like this extreme loss, you gained like the love of your life. So it was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm leaving, but I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah.
That is, I had full body chills when you said that.
I mean, it's sometimes I still am like, pitch me. Like, I think I was single I dated, but like long-term boyfriend, maybe like 5, 6 years before I was really feeling like I was with someone building a life and building together. So everything and more of what I've really looked for in partnership and love. So I'm very grateful. And yeah, I think that the biggest thing that I can take away from all of this is equanimity. It's like a huge practice in um, vipassana, and it's just like really doing our best to just let be what's going to be and enjoy what we have while we have it, because everything is going to change, and the only constant in life is change. Just like, my dad as an athlete, one day to another just couldn't feel his legs anymore. I mean, going to the gym changed my perspective. I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful I can do squats and do lunges and walk upstairs. And I have like full mobility in this vessel. And so it's just brought a whole other level of gratitude. And I mean, your life can change in a second. So
Yeah.
it's important to remember, be grateful for what you have, because you've probably prayed for what you have now, and what you're praying for is going to come but we have to be in the vibration of gratitude and expansion in order to also receive it.
Yes, and being surrounded by people who also reflect that,
Yeah.
because that does completely affect your field. And so
Yeah.
it's staying positive and then speaking positivity onto others and they speak it onto you. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah. And keeping the relations around that are wanting to grow with you, because it's not always easy, and it doesn't mean you're not going to have any challenges. It means we learn how to work through conflict in a healthy manner and to have uncomfortable conversations that need to be said in order for us to be in our truth. Right. And so that's also, he's, I would say, definitely not on the spiritual path of like anything in the world that I'm in, but he is such a spiritually grounded human and just so wise. And it blows my mind. I'm like, wow, you've never even sat in like a ceremony, but brings these teachings that are within him. And so I just never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates.
literally, I feel like some of these men are so intuitive and they're saying things. And I'm like, do you know what you're saying right now? But it's like they don't fully realize or like have a word to put to it of like what that is. I'm like, wow, this is pretty impressive. But I think it's so nice because you don't necessarily need a spiritual man being in this space. You need a man who's going to be really like accepting of what you do and supportive of what you do. And that's it.
And present. For me, presence is so important. Someone that can like really listen to what conversations we're having and can take in the information that I'm expressing from my heart, because ultimately we're weaving and co-creating together. And if we're not able to go there, is it a one-sided show? Is it a one-sided path? It's like we have to be on the same page of like our honesty and our vulnerability. Yeah.
Completely. It's so
Mm.
inspirational. Thank you so much. Are there
Yeah.
any last little bits that you want to share? Or any messages that you have for anybody listening?
I would say something that again really helps me and has really helped me as of lately is being excited for the level of devotion that I get to offer myself and my life. And it can feel like a drag going to the gym. It can feel like a drag choosing not to eat all this yummy sugar and stuff that's available, to not drink or to go and do whatever. It can feel like a drag to do the things that are constructive for us in the long run. And so I really think that there's something so sacred about devotion and respect and commitment to yourself and to your word. And so when you are walking in a path of truth within yourself, you're going to continue to create experiences that align with truth of your highest. And so when it isn't, it's also a reflection of where are you not in your truth. And it's a moment to pause and reflect, but get excited. Like get excited because everything is always working out for you. So whatever it is, it's something for you to learn and just grow. So just do the work.
I'm waiting for that rap song.
It'll come at moments. Everything is always working out for me, everything, or just like weave it into like a random song or just like pop in and do a little
Little Shakira hips.
everything is always freaking actually. There is a truth to that too, right? It's like we want to move the womb energy and like use all of our chakras. I agree.
If it's working, yeah, release the trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. I think doing the work and also not feeling like you have to go and search to go do the work. It's I had a lot of work to do when it came clearly to me what I needed to do. I have not been one to like seek healing. I did seek to clear my family trauma lineage and whatever all that stuff was that I needed to help heal. I think it's done from here. I've really gotten clear on that, but
Yes.
besides that, you are perfect exactly as you are. Keep walking your path and you will find what are the little things that you get to enhance.
Yes. I'm so happy you said that because it is like, okay, what is this pattern that's coming up? Like am I just kind of going off the deep end and like addicted to, X, Y, or Z, like what's coming up that's obstructing my life? That's where you start. And it's not, don't go searching for it. Just notice what doesn't actually feel good. Am I binge watching TV all the time? Like whatever that thing is, or on my phone too much. All right, let's look at that and then start there.
And if there's one little tip I can give on that, because I know that our phones have become this like attachment to our body where we're just suddenly like, get it off me. Like I can't, but I need it off me. Um, so I work a lot with subconscious reprogramming and also lifestyle changes around whatever we're breaking, any kind of addiction we have. So instead of also just saying, oh, I'm not going to look at my phone. Well, what else can you do with your time? If you don't want to go to the kitchen and go eat some more yum yums or whatever you have over there, do something else. Do something non-food related. Go do art. Go create. Don't just consume. Be creative. Put yourself in a creative space. Can I draw? Can I dance? Can I go move my body? Can I go for a walk? Can I call a friend? Can I sing or play an instrument? And so rewiring ourselves and sometimes the commitment is that I'm going to do these 3 things for myself today and I'm going to do this every single day as a non-negotiable, and that will start to shift your identity and grow you to the person that you strive to be and who you're meant to become as well in this life.
That is such profound advice. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. You are absolutely wonderful. It has been such a pleasure having you on today.
Likewise, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so glad we connected, and yeah, super happy to connect again. And hopefully, you come out either to Tulum or Miami, or if I'm out in Arizona, because sometimes I do support ceremonies out there, I will let you know.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the platform as well for the work that you're doing. This is really important.
Of course. And I'll tell everybody how they can connect with you down in the show notes so they can follow along on your Instagram and all the things that you're doing.
Having lots of concerts in Miami this year and likely in other parts of the world as well. So you can catch those shows, or if you want me to come to your city, let's see what we can do and make some magic.
Yeah. Perfect.